And we're live. Valdreth, hit us with the recap.
Last time. So we started outside the Golden Keep, and there was discussion of how we're going to go back in. So the two dwarfs changed into their disguises and went in. We decided to go to the docks. Saw a quartermaster, found out when the ship was that we need to get, and to go to Port Kiln, I think it's called. We found out we need dock passes and passage from a captain. And then we made our way to the Golden Pair. And then the other two went into the city, made their way to the Golden Pair as well. There were some pleasantries exchanged and some conversational pieces between the party members and random NPCs. And then the performance of legendary proportions came from Ariel that just made everyone, made her the talk of the town. Torbran spoke to someone that said they needed some shipment taken to Port Kiln for one of his friends. Valdrith wasn't paying attention to who it was, so he doesn't know. And then the Duke basically agreed to let us go on passage, I think it was. Unless I'm mistaken, I've noted that I'm wrong. But the Duke sorted out dock passes, and then we got passage on a ship for the morning, and then we ended with going to sleep. And then Silurtha had little visions, and Ariel had a visit, but Valdreth didn't know any of that, so I haven't known it. And then Valdreth went to sleep.
All right.
Oh, we also read the chapter book, the Expected Fire chapter in the
We
book.
did. So, before anyone starts the chapter of the novel, it was a bright day, a sunny day, with cold wind blowing at our backs. As we set foot on landfall, it was a fantastically opportunistic day. I'd made a promise to be less of a pessimist on this day, just to give it a try. However, my better judgment came true. After reconvening with an old acquaintance, which was somehow a new acquaintance, Phineas introduced us to what he was working on. A sight to behold it indeed was. A long exchange of backstories and information shared between friends who hadn't seen each other in what was a few years. Torbran explained where he'd got this shipment from. It seemed to rattle Phineas a little bit, though Phineas tasked us with retrieving some goods from a competitor at his local warehouse. After much planning and heavy consideration, it was deemed that a fire would be the best distraction on the dock somewhere nearby. Unfortunately, little did we know what events would unfold as a result of doing this. And the worst thing we did was split up that day. The chapter goes on, however, you fall asleep before completing it. As you come to the chapters in your lap, a page or two advanced, and the only thing that sort of catches your eyes is in bold written is, I shouted, "Don't open that door. Don't open that door," I said, "before there's a knock on your door." Full dress!
What time is it?
It's time for breakfast.
Oh, Jesus. I've slept in. Oh, hang on. Let me get changed.
You hear another knock on the door next to you. Another name cried out. Breakfast time, as you realise it's just an early morning breakfast call. Is there anyone who would be heading down to breakfast first? Bearing in mind, Torbran has already had breakfast and is making his way to the dockyards. but we have a somewhat laboured, late rousing individual and a already awake praying to the gods sentry. So who do we think would have made their way downstairs first?
Well, we'll go downstairs eventually. Probably just not first.
Okay.
I'll probably go down straight after the knock on the door.
All right. You find there is a fantastic conjured buffet on display, and you can see there is a separate breakfast table also set up with what appear to be real fruits. Some kind of hot warm porridge has been there, some kind of yogurt looking material or substance. It's a bit strange, you've not come across it before. And you got a wide assortment of breakfast in this wonderfully grand hotel tavern that you are staying in. As the DM sort of remembers which universe he's playing in. as you continue to observe, there's various guests milling around. It's seemingly an open buffet bar, and a few hands are going up. A few tables are clearly reserved. There seems to be some kind of opportunity to order food as well if you wish, though there's about probably half a dozen or so guests sat in the foyer in different areas at this point in the tavern. What kind of breakfast do you go for, Valdra?
I'll walk to the barkeep.
Okay.
A beer.
Excuse me, fine sir. Since you're a fine establishment, do you have any buffalo?
We could do buffalo wings if you want, but no buffalo. Or unless you want
What do
something
you
conjured.
mean? Oh no. What about elk?
There's not been any elks around these parts for a near millennia, my boy.
How about some Bambi?
Same again, I'm afraid. Is there something of less expensive and more recently deceased that we could perhaps interest you in today?
How about some beef?
I'll see what we can do.
And what about a nice fresh morning potion?
I'm afraid we don't have any potions. You'll have to visit the alchemist if you wish.
Oh, it's black. Tastes like ass, but wakes you up.
Oh, coffee. Right, yes, my apologies.
Oh, that's what it's called. Oh man, I've wondered what it's called.
Yes, we can source you a fresh pot of black coffee, yes?
Oh, wonderful.
And I'll hit my head up the counter and just wait patiently.
Oh no, you can take a seat. We'll be bringing the food out shortly.
Oh, wonderful. Is there any seats for my height?
You can see last night you were sat at sort of the tables themselves are a little bit heavy, but you can sit on the seats and make yourself at the right height. So there's options available for you,
I'll
other
go
than the
plonk
bar.
down. I'll try and scour the room for the porter that took my pickaxe the other day.
Okay. You can see that there is like a small side, what is now open, like entry point where it's like just a coat room, and you can see there's just a couple of makeshift hangers with various clothes hung up and walking boots and seemingly stuff not meant for public eyes to be glancing at. Basically, a little bit of a store cupboard that's been left open seemingly this morning. But you can see in there is your pickaxe leaning up against the wall, along with anything else that you would have handed over when your coats were taken off you.
I'll be like, it's there. And then wait for my food.
Okay. Meanwhile, upstairs, a little bit later, coming down, Sir Lothar and Ariel.
Didn't Lothar already exchange words with the Duke?
You had, though
But
you
he
hadn't.
was at the door.
You hadn't yet
He
gone
did at
downstairs.
the
Though.
door.
Oh, I noticed him upstairs.
You watched him go upstairs to them, basically.
I see. Fair enough.
Why exactly do I have a very bad feeling about today?
Are you already starting? It's too early
No,
in the
I
morning for this.
started as soon as I woke up.
Oh, okay.
Bad feeling. So keep your eyes peeled, I suppose, more than usual. And he is considerably noisy down the creaky wooden staircase, I would assume.
Sure, though on soft carpets.
Even with carpets, these things still creak, and I'm not even wearing my full armor set yet.
You see Torbern currently awaiting some food at a table nearby. Not Torbern, Voldrith. My apologies. Wrong dwarf.
Voldrith. Seems we're short a dwarf.
Oh, was that to me?
What do you mean? I'm sure he's out trying to hunt his own food.
Fine, but we do need to make good on our embarkment. I want to be in Port Kiln as soon as possible.
Oh, did he say he had a shipment to sort out?
Well, let's hope it goes well. So, the hell are you eating?
Well, he's gonna find me some beef.
Actual
I'm
beef?
gonna. Aye, and a pot of coffee. You want some?
Coffee? You mean the black thing?
Aye. Wakes you up, it does. Oh, after a stiff drink, this is what you need in the morning.
Yeah, we
Right at
just
this
drink
moment,
alcohol.
the barkeep approaches the table holding a plate with what seems to be a rapidly cooked piece of mutton. He says, "A freshly braised beef for the fine gentleman."
Oh, now we're talking.
He just starts ripping it with his hands.
Okay. You can just see
Do you
there's
have
like
it?
some kind of twig that's just for garnish that's stuck on top of it that you just instantly throw away to the side. The barkeep
Do you
just
have-
turns to you and says, "There's conjured refreshments over on the main platter table. There's some fresh vegetables
Please
on
tell
the
me
other."
you have something that's not conjured.
Oh yes, we have fresh selection buffet as well. And if you have any special requests, we aim to accommodate sort of in the next 10 minutes or so.
He takes a look at the table. Is there anything you can scrap up some breakfast?
Fresh fruits
Heartier
and
breakfast?
bread and porridge looking, and a bit of yogurt potentially. A bit more of a European.
Now, he'll scrounge up a mess of some stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll enjoy, as the barkeep dismisses himself. It's about at this point. Carry on.
Do you have any potatoes that you could pack for the road? Actual potatoes.
Sure. I will see what our reserves have.
Much obliged. And Lady Ariel is as well, I'm sure.
I see. He disappears. At this point, there's a couple of small conversations breaking out amongst the other tables in this diner, just the clanking of cutlery and the familiar sounds of eating conjured food, which is such a weird concoction of grinding of teeth and sort of airless swallows. However, nutritionally, you are satisfied to some degree. Tastefully, not so much. The mutton chop is at best rare and perhaps slightly warmed, and you realize this is, well, make a nature check if you want. Age of 22,
I'm
you
old,
realise this is on a natural 20 on this. This is the worst excuse of beef you've ever been presented. Though it is fairly tasteful. Probably a little bit past its best, though. Nothing for you to be concerned about, having recently explored in some of Torbran's cooking in recent days, but there's no beef in this. So, a short while later, once your breakfast is concluded, the barkeep heads on over, collects some plates, hands Ariel a note and you a small bag of potatoes. You can add half a sack of potatoes to your inventory.
Yep.
Weighs about 2 kilos.
Okay.
I thank him for the note, and I'll check it as soon as I
Okay.
get a chance to.
My beloved
Which is
Valerial. It reads. Do you
yes.
continue or do you immediately
Wow.
or do you just immediately go like, no, not now?
Yeah, I'll just read this later. I'll read it then.
Okay. Okay. Very well. You're just like, I know what this is. Not now. That's fine.
Yeah.
As the party spends the next sort of 30 minutes in total, gathering themselves, checking their rooms, checking out. As you muster your things, you have your final conversations. However, in the interim, dialing it back about an hour earlier, as the cold breeze fills your lungs, standing looking out over the cliff edge that oversees the harbour. You can see busy trawlermen, ships of various sizings, many fishing boats are coming in for the morning, unloading their fresh catch, Torbran. And you can see the quartermaster's table is not yet manned. The lift currently on its way to the ascent, probably 2 minutes, and then it'll be at its peak, ready for your embarking should you choose to. Give me a perception check as you overlook the morning docks.
Well,
On a 12, you make out there's a couple of small ships. There seems to be a bit of toing and froing. There's a small postage of guards early, seemingly probably those who've been on duty throughout the night. Possibly a changeover will be rapidly approaching, you anticipate, based on one of them is stood upright, their helmet slanted down, and their body posture is clearly giving a I'm barely awake impression. But for the rest, there's just a general calm atmosphere to take in whilst you see the wonderful sun on the horizon not too high after dawn has broken. What do you wish to do?
I'll wait for the lift to come up.
Okay. Uneventfully, there's a small, young-looking halfling. It seems to be carrying a small trolley load of crates, and you can just see there is crustaceans within them and a couple of barnacle-covered, possibly scallops, a bit of fresh fish food. You can see him immediately attempts to just push her. Excuse me, sir. He just waddles and pushes you out the way just so you can get past.
Where did
The
he
lift.
come from?
He came up on the lift.
Where did he go?
Right.
His name was Cotton Eye
Um,
Joe.
All right. I'll get on the lift, assuming there's no guards walking up.
None approach you
All right.
as you make your way
Take the lift
down the 15-minute descent.
Just you?
Just him.
Okay.
Before I start going down, is there anyone else in the direct vicinity who appears that they might want to take the lift?
Nope, on a 12. You get the impression there's no one waiting behind you in queue.
All right, down we
It's
go.
just you. So as you make your descent, otherwise uneventful, you're approaching the bottom. And you pull out that note and then remember it wasn't written down what information you were told yesterday. or the night before. Do you know where exactly on the docks it was?
Yes, he told me.
She.
Yeah, Jean. Let's see. I got a storage facility number, but I don't know which number.
You can roll a history
I
roll,
think
unless you want to tell me.
sure. I think you didn't even tell me the number. I think you told me that I just got a facility number. History. That's an 8.
You can't remember which number it is. I have a number in mind. I'm just not too sure if I gave it you. I think I did. So you make your way up and down the harbour. You can see there are some sort of like meshed cages. These are obviously clearly the containment units. There's about half a dozen on one half of the jetty and probably another dozen or so on the other side. And you can see that these seem to be full to the brim of various bits, like a bit of fishing equipment, some boxes. Another one is empty. Another has some clearly fresh produce in this brought in from this morning, and another one seems to have like a small animal-like creature in it, like some kind of seal. As you just walk on by looking for inspiration, one of the guards who is here seemingly nudges awake as you're sort of walking in their general direction, about 20-30 feet in front of you at this point.
Good morning.
Good morning. You look a little bit lost.
Yes, I'm looking for an old shipment of mine. Should be around 6 crates.
I see.
I've lost the storage number on it.
Right. Well, the quartermaster should be in about. Oh, I see. She's just got in. As he looks up at the top of the elevator, and you can see now there is a procession of guards currently waiting for the elevator to return back up to begin a fresh descent. Although you can see taking off his morning coat, an individual in a uniform the same as yesterday evening's. The quartermaster sitting down at his desk at the top of the lift. Do you know which plot unit you have? Can you remember the number?
I'm afraid not, sir.
It would be 1 to 18.
Would it be possible for me to go through them myself?
Well, yes. Just assume you have your key, as each of these is locked.
Well, I'm
Or
afraid
have you misplaced your key as well?
I'm afraid my associate hasn't given me his key.
I see. So you don't know what plot number you have, nor do you have the key. I see. Is this some kind of joke?
I'm afraid not, sir.
Make a persuasion roll.
Persuasion.
An
18.
He looks at you insightfully, rubbing some sleep out of his eye, and says, I'm not sure I believe you, but I'm due to clock off in 2 minutes. You're not worth the paperwork. Just please get out my sight and don't cause any ruckus for the next 2 minutes before I finish my shift.
No problem, sir.
Thank you. And he immediately turns around, leans his shoulder against the crate again, and begins to just dip his head down.
Enjoy the nap.
Sincerest observational practices, you see. It's
I see.
yes.
No problem. No issues.
I didn't see you. You didn't see me. Thief.
Who are you?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Are all the facilities visible?
Some are doubled up, like they seem to be a potential conversion of a pair with just a mesh grate between them, but some are separated as well. You could see all of these scattered throughout from the top of the lift, the very top of the cliff face, but you also could fit between them or behind them if you wanted to attempt to be deceptive or somehow sneaky. There's various crates and containers scattered throughout the docks themselves, but it's quite hard to imagine it would be quite hard to hide from someone who was looking down at the harbor from that vantage point, because they would have like almost a full top-down view. So hiding behind a crate is going to be very hard.
I will just right. So, but that would mean I have to enter one of the facilities first.
You get the tops of these were solid wood. You wouldn't be able to see inside them, but the front door and some of the sides are mesh.
Right. I will just try to look for any crates that take a particular interest. Maybe something that I remember from Port Kill, maybe a specific stamp or marking on them.
Sure, make an investigation check.
Investigation 4.
On a 4. About half an hour of searching, and you aren't really getting anywhere. The guard completes a changeover of shift, and a fresh pack of seemingly more awake and more alert guardsmen make their way over to you. After exchanging a short conversation with the previous guards that you observed, they immediately looked over to you and made their way. Unfortunately, as you've sort of gone through, you can't remember the location, and right now you look like a person who really doesn't belong here, curiously looking into these containment facilities, looking at goods. You are behaving out of sorts, to say the least, from their perspective. As two guards come over and say, "Would you mind coming with us, sir, please?"
Yes, of course. Good morning.
Well, that gets to remain to be seen. Depends how much paperwork you create for us.
I will silently follow them.
Okay. Without role-playing it out. A silent ascent back up the lift to the quartermaster later. The quartermaster takes off his hat. He says, "My men say you've been snooping around the docks this morning."
I am looking for a shipment of an associate of mine that I'm supposed to bring in to one of the ships.
I see.
But he forgot to give me the key and the facility number, so I've been looking me arse off tonight this morning.
I see. So you don't have a key. You don't know which number it's supposed to be in.
Well, the number was given, but it was a late night.
Okay. To which vessel were these goods supposed to be boarding today?
To the ship headed for Port Kill by 11. By I believe the ship's called the Sky Skipper. Let me double check.
We don't have any vessels by that name due to depart today. Though the 11 o'clock
Skipper.
is
Fly
Captain.
Skipper.
I see. Yes, Captain
Howarth,
Howarth, the
I
fly skipper.
Yes.
Absolutely, fair enough. Okay then. I would ask you to wait here whilst Captain Howarth makes his way over, and we'll double check that everything's all in order. I'm sure you'll obviously be fine with that. Everything.
Yes, of course, no problem. Appreciate you helping out.
It's nice to have an honest thief once in a while. Right. At about the time the rest of the party is departing, an individual descends the stairs of the tavern in a very regal and elegant garment, with a mighty black hat and a vibrant green and red plumage feather sticking out the back of it. To the rest of you, as you were introduced to this figure the night before, Captain Howarth looks down the stairs to you, gives a deep bow, and says, "I'll be with you promptly at the docks. Nature calls. I'll see you there."
Yeah, well,
And then he runs down the stairs into the back room.
nothing more suspicious than a sailor who's sober, I suppose.
Do you
I think he's worse than me.
wait to travel with the captain to the docks, or do you meet up with Torben at the docks?
Just head over there, I guess.
Well, we should go try and find the other dwarf.
Oh, he might have got himself into trouble. He almost talked himself into some yesterday.
With our luck so far, trouble's going to find us.
Oh, let me just get the axe from these fine gentlemen.
The barkeep
Hmm.
heads over, presents you with your items and belongings as you disembark from the tavern. On your way down, could I have the three of you make perception checks as you make your way over to the harbour?
Perception.
We have a
Let's see
10,
if I can perceive. Where's perception?
a -1.
Oh my
Double
God.
-1s.
So that's 2 natural ones, and you
Two
have
natural
-2.
ones, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a 1 in
Get
400.
those out of the way quick.
I would say
Get them out of
Ariel is. How does Ariel feel about that note? That's how distracted she
About
is.
that.
About that note. You haven't even finished reading it, but it
She's-
is weighing on your mind.
Yeah, she's just feeling very responsible about it. She doesn't like turning people down, but she can't help it. Obviously, she can't stay with this guy, and she doesn't want to. She's just like, "Oh no, what? How will my departure this fine day just hit him like that? I didn't. He can't write beloved just like that and out of thin air. I haven't said or done anything to cause for that affection. Why? Why?" So that's
Ariel is
that's
saying
what she's
this out
thinking
loud
about.
or in your mind?
No, in her mind, in her
Okay.
mind.
In her mind.
But obviously she's very distracted.
Oh, you alright there? Oh, don't worry, I got my stick. You seem a bit distracted. Everything alright there, love?
All good, all good. Hmm.
Salothar, poignant that it is you who can see a short, feminine figure who immediately, though her back is turned, catches your eye. You instantly recognize Liz from the dress she is wearing, her golden red hair, younger than you last saw her, and standing outside one of the stalls at a market, picking up some fruit, a basket in her hand. Seems to be in a bit of a heated / frustrated engagement with one of the sellers as you're walking past.
He's going to tap Venarial on the shoulder a little bit, saying, "Be back very briefly."
All right.
And he is going to approach the stall.
As you approach, you hear the following. Look, I'm sorry, Miss Liz, but you know how it is. I'm afraid we also can't do any more handouts. You know, we've tried our best, but stocks are low, and you know, even if it's fresh produce hard to come by, there's very little interest, I'm afraid. So I don't have any more to spare this evening for you, or this morning for you. Liz is just looking crestfallen and on the brink of tears almost.
He is going to approach from behind, pull out one of the larger coins with the skull of one of the larger golden coins with the skull, which I'm assuming would be 5 gold. whatever the lady owes you and whatever the lady needs, and he just hands it to the vendor.
Well, good mornings. Right.
Less questions, more serving.
I see you've continued to make friends in high places, Miss Liz.
Let me deduct the 5 gold.
The lady looks up at you and just, please, there's she's fighting back the tears. There's no need. I do not wish for your charity.
It's not charity. This is gonna make very little sense, but there is a version of you that knows a version of me. And she would probably scold me if I had the opportunity to get little Tav something and didn't.
How do you know my boy's name? I'm very sorry. I
It's
have
a
a
very
keen
long
memory, but
story.
I don't recognize you.
You would if I'd look like myself. But
She looks
actually
even
no,
more
I'm not.
confused and like is stepping back from you now.
Yeah, he just inclines his head. Do take care, Liz. And he turns around and wraps himself in his cloak in a very characteristic manner, which she would not recognize yet because her and Lothar, the proper Lothar of this timeline, aren't really acquainted
Oh.
properly yet.
You leave this individual in a very perplexed, confused, and emotional state as she accepts, you can see, like a full basket of fresh produce from the market stall before she scurries off in the opposite direction to you. As the rest of the party reconvene, it's only moments or two later that Captain Howarth makes his bold, chest proudly puffed up, striding onto the boardwalk that overlooks the docks. As Torbrun, you see your party and the captain standing before you.
Good morning.
Oh, well, you look like you've been busy.
Busy very much. Productive. Not so much.
So are you all affiliated with this trespasser and thief?
Trespasser?
Oh, that's the first time you've used that term.
Well,
Trespasser, thief.
no
I don't
permit, stuck on the
appreciate.
docks. That's trespassing.
No permit because he probably lost it because he was drunk. I can assure you he does have one, and he's due to board the good captain's ship here
I see.
alongside us.
Well, I guess he won't be going anywhere today, as we have a strict no drinking policy if you are to be boarding a vessel.
Oh, he drank last night. Does he look drunk to you now? It's a dwarf, for the god's sake.
I'm afraid I wouldn't recognize a sober dwarf if you presented me with one.
Hey! Oh, I'm quite sober! Oh, you know!
He's also
Oh,
old, but
but
we do need to board, we do need to leave, and this dwarf is actually sober, so...
Well, Quartermaster, Captain Howarth, yes, we met. Yes, I believe there's been a slight misunderstanding. I will, in fact, be having both cargo and these 4 esteemed guests traveling with me this morning, and yes, the Quartermaster is not looking convinced, and he says,
You have it from the captain himself. What more do you need?
John, have you been drinking again? Captain Howarth just says, what I do in my time is at my liberty. Christian.
oh, you're called Christian. Oh, that's a good name for a god. Oh,
Quartermaster, thank you. a little bit more than a simple guard station, though you immediately see like the 10 guards just instantly like, here we go again. I start rolling. As Captain Howard says, yes, my apologies. I forgot our agreement. You there, Knight, hold this, please. He just gives you a small bundle that he's carrying over his back.
Oh well.
Good. Oh, thank you. Carry that down for me, sir. Right. So, was it 2 gold a head, if I remember? And 5 gold per tonnage. Yes. Which of you's got the cargo, and how much cargo are we bringing?
I remember something. And I will pull out a purse of what I believe are keys. Are these perhaps facility keys? They were given.
You
to
look
me
at the
by my
quartermaster, who just puts his heads in his hand, and he's just like, John, get them out of my sight, please.
My sincerest apologies. This is the first time I've been here. I wouldn't be a
Oh,
talk if I wasn't honest.
The most
Oh,
awkward,
much.
or one of the most awkward, mumbling and muttering of self-loathing elevator rides the 4 of you who've ever been on. Later,
As we board
The amount of
elevator,
times I've
Bye,
been,
Christian.
the amount of minutes I've been staring at this sentence which says one purse with keys. Oh.
How much did you have to drink yesterday?
when the DM's
Well,
like,
I
I know what I
counting
gave
water.
you. I know what I gave you.
Straight water on.
You
Are
want to
you
roleplay
sure it
this? Go
wasn't
for it.
vodka?
When you do side
Oh.
quests, you need to mark them carefully in your notes.
Update that quest log.
because like nobody else is gonna do it for you if it's your side quest, or just be
I was-
like, yeah, they have some business or something. Doesn't matter what.
I was so mentally locked in on this facility number that I'm pretty sure I wasn't given and I forgot about the keys.
The going one by one. You start at number 1. Fortunately, you get to the 6th number, and the door opens.
Oh, thank God.
Captain Howarth says, "All right, half a tonnage there, I reckon. Let's get it on board."
Is it just the 6 crates that are in there?
It's just 6 crates.
Cool.
Most of them are fairly lightweight, and that concerns you because that's not half a tonnage. And the larger box that makes up the majority of this storage unit that you then attempt to lift, I need you to make a strength check, please.
Strength check.
On a
A
7.
7.
You, for the life of you, cannot even make this thing budge. You found the rest
what
of the
the hell?
weight. It's
What the hell
admittedly
do they
heavy.
make dwarves of these days? And he's going to try and help.
You can either make a strength check as well, or you can have Torben reroll with advantage, and he already has a 20 there, so we will just take that if you want. With help from Salothar and anyone else who was participating, you lift this
I can help
crate
with guidance.
very well as you sort of assist. With a 20, the crate lifts, and you immediately hear the clang of metallic parts clink, 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 inside, constant moving.
This sounds more like the kind of stuff that Phineas would want. Not sure what the other boxes are all about, though.
As Captain Howarth takes you over to the Fly Skipper, a very dainty looking vessel, one that looks perhaps more like a converted fishing barge. And you realize Captain Howarth is perhaps more persona than a bona fide captain after all, as this is probably the second smallest ship in the whole dock at the moment. A ship nonetheless it is, though it immediately raises concerns of, is this really open seaworthy? A single mast and no fore or aft sails. It is very much a large dinghy. And naturally, to two dwarves, this is quite disconcerting.
Yeah, because the rest of us can fly.
Oi, Voldred. Or you taught how to swim.
Um, uh, yeah, definitely.
Make a deception check. Or an insight check on Torben.
It's just one against the other, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh.
Natural 20.
Oh, 20 versus a 23.
Wow.
The
Nat
two of you are
20.
convinced, yeah, he can swim. And then Torben's like, I see. Captain
So,
Howarth is like, a dwarf that can swim? Well, welcome aboard. You're the first of my crew.
I can't let my stick get wet, you see.
I see. No worries. Well,
I don't
there won't
like
be
it when the
anything else
dwarves
getting
run
wet
this
today.
slow.
Captain, is this thing actually going to make it to Port Kiln?
Oh, most of the way there.
While the captain says that, I will look at Voldred's pants like, I'm not so sure, Captain. We'll see about that.
Oh, well.
All right, you swabs, raise anchor and let's depart.
Hope it
Go on,
doesn't
chop,
sink
chop.
with the anchor on.
I will. Is there like a central mast?
Yeah. There's one mast with one sail.
I will grab it.
Okay.
I think so.
I said raise anchor. What you doing?
I will hug it, and I will lift my feet off the ground to also hug it with my feet.
Wait, you don't
Anchor's
have a
off the
proper.
ground.
You don't have a proper qualified crew for this. You're just going to
I
go
was
on
told you're
with
the
hired
crew.
hands? Of course you were. Of course you were. Lady Venarial, remind me to punch a nobleman once if we are ever back in the Golden Keep.
Captain Howell says,
A nobleman.
don't worry, I won't be
Any
coming back to
nobleman.
the keep anytime
Any
soon.
nobleman, okay. That's a solid reminder.
Hopefully the first one I see is the first one we saw today. I mean, yesterday.
All right, next
Ah,
time, so I might not be the most fancy of ships, but I've had plenty of shipwrights myself, and I will just casually start lifting the anchor.
Okay. Make a strength check, please. You have advantage on this because you're familiar with the systems used to pull it in. With a
I am weak
6,
kneed.
you need some support. Though, with, I would say, assistance from Sir Lothar, you manage to raise the anchor and cast off and set sail. Unfurling the mast, the captain stands at the head of the vessel and starts shouting orders as you realize no one's at the wheel.
Who's going to, steer that thing?
Navigate.
Well, that'd be the
On it!
navigator.
I'll just make my way over. I will go past the captain. I'll just sort of look up at him like, do you even know what you're doing?
Did you say that out to him, or are you inciting him?
I'll say it softly to him, so like the rest doesn't really hear. But I'm definitely trying to out him between the two of us.
I want you to make an insight check.
Not deception?
No,
Okay. A 9.
a 9. You just get this feeling something's not adding up. But you don't know anything more. But as you say those words, he turns, looks down at you, and just says, "I wouldn't be much of a captain now if I didn't know, would I?"
Which
Captain
side
without a
is
crew, huh?
starboard?
Well, that'd be the opposite to the port.
And where will that be, Captain?
He points to the port side, and he points to the starboard side, and explains what they are.
Very well. I will walk towards what's it called, the helm.
Yep.
Where the. All right.
Swing around full on the pot.
I assume this is just a like a sail wind operated ship, right?
Yep.
What way is the wind blowing? paint me a picture of how we're oriented here.
You are currently moored up on the side of the harbour at the very exit. So the good news is there's nothing between you and the open sea. There's no vessels to worry about.
Mhm.
But he's definitely indicating that you need to turn right to disembark and head out to sea. You
Mhm.
can make a nature check to see if you can judge which way the wind is coming from.
Sure. 14.
On a 14, the wind is favourably for you to head in this disembarking direction. You
Very
realise
well.
with the sail unfurled, the anchor now raised, the ship begins to pick up speed.
All right. I will steer.
To
I
the
assume
port.
that would be starboard. I'm not sure which way we are. I'll steer away into the.
You steer away into the open waters, indeed. The captain shouts back to the crew and says, "When was the last time any of you were on a ship?"
I'll start thinking it's like 5 years ago, except 2 years into the future. I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Do infantry river rafts count?
Did it have a sail?
Nope. Rows.
Nah, that'd be a nope.
Ah, well.
How about you, Master Dwarf?
I can't really remember.
Someone of your veterancy must have been on board a ship once or twice in your life.
If you're on about an airship, oh God, never again. Never, ever again. I like being on the ground.
I see.
Have you ever been on an airship flanked by 2 lances of flying griffins, Voldret?
That sounds like something in your dreams, dear.
Ah, well. There's something the Iron Dominion does good, and that's presentation.
Ah,
As for me, never. Not really. Not in any sort of functional capacity where I was actually doing chores.
I see.
Um, I can mend small problems if they appear on ship, though.
Oh, fantastic. We have a few tears in the mainsail. Would you perhaps be able to have a look at that?
Sure.
Okay.
How I don't know if she can get high enough to the actual tears,
They're
but
sort of scattered
can
throughout, but with like
if
between
she touches the sail, would it function
go all the
to
way
fix
through eventually. Yes.
yeah. Okay, so she'll do that.
Okay.
She'll mend the sail.
We'll mend the sail. She says, "Ah, good as new. I should give us a bit more speed. Save a couple of hours off the journey.
How long is the journey to Port Kiln by sea, anyway?
3 days.
Well,
Well, it
for
would be
better or
3
worse,
days if we didn't have a trick or two up our sleeve."
What do
And
you
with
mean by that?
he positions from the front of the vessel to walks up to the flight of stairs up to the helm, where he's standing next to you as you're holding on to the ship's wheel. He says, "Just hold on to that. Everyone, brace yourselves." And he begins to cast a spell, and out of his hands, a huge burst of wind fills the sail as you all immediately feel a sudden surge forward in the ship.
Hmm.
You're probably traveling about 3 times quicker than you were before. This would be why I need someone else piloting a few things, you see.
I see.
Makes
They don't call
sense.
me the fly skipper for nothing.
Please tell me you have
So-
a compass.
We're going that way. What do you need a compass for?
All right, if you say so.
Just
I will
you
look
keep.
down and see how Voldret's doing.
How's Voldreth doing?
He's definitely going to be. Ooh, can I roll to see if I'm seasick?
Constitution saving throw. On 11, I'm let you decide.
Okay, so it looks like he's going to vomit, but it's fine.
Oh God, this no, I don't like this.
Oi, old timer! How
I
you
can
doing down
definitely.
there?
I'm alright. I'm thinking I might go for a dip.
Usually it's the younglings that need saying that. The future is now, old man.
I can't believe you just did that. The 100+-year-old
I
dwarf to the
love you
400-year-old dwarf.
Well,
So,
come on.
as the journey continues, you can all make perception checks as you're looking out. And I'm going to need Torbrun to make a nature check to keep your sense of direction on track.
That's a 21.
My perception's
Natural 1 into
1
a
and a 20.
natural 20. That's fantastic, Lothar.
And then for the perception at 23.
Okay. Ariel. With this speed, the wind is quite magnificent as you see two dwarves, one sort of semi-leaning over the bow, the other with his beard blowing wonderfully behind him and his hair flaying in the wind. So Lothar, completely fresh out of hair. You think for the better, because if a sudden change of wind direction, that red mess would have been an absolute pain to keep in track. The thought sort of takes you away from actively looking out at sea, trying to spectate, though you are just sort of enjoying the general view. Torbrun, you are doing your best to keep the ship straight and narrow in the direction that you were pointed in. I'm pretty confident you're doing a good job for now. So Lothar, on a natural 1, what do you think you see?
He wouldn't see anything because the moment the journey started, he'd, grab a seat next to the mast, pull out his sword, and start oiling it, sharpening it. It flies by better if you don't think about it.
And Torbrun, whilst you're looking out, you look behind you and realize, yeah, you're making quite good headway as already the giant 2,000-foot cliff face is already disappearing off into the view, far behind you. But on a 23,
Hmm?
something that catches your eye off the starboard side, high on the horizon, where you would expect to see sails or the silhouette of a ship. Instead, you see a round cylindrical, almost like balloon, paired, sitting just on the horizon of the water. Sure keeps your fancy. It's weird. It's strange. You've been out. You've seen a few things, but you've not seen anything like this on the water. You keep your eyes on it, and after about half an hour, continuing the direction, it still seems to be growing closer, though heading across your view. It's changing its course. As to which way you're not quite sure, but the distance between the two of you is definitely closing as it's slowly getting larger. And as you realize, as it comes over the horizon, you see a large bow beneath these two balloon shapes, and none of it's touching the water. as you realize this is a very far off in the distance skyship.
Captain, do you happen to have something like a spyglass or something?
What would you need that for?
You see that thing over there in the distance?
He stops casting. Where?
I will point towards where I see it.
As you do, he sort of looks in that general direction. Nope.
All right, well, get that spyglass out.
As I
Because there's
said,
definitely something there.
I don't have one. What would I need it for?
Do you run into any skyships?
Oh, I've seen a
Here.
few.
Here.
They usually frequent the Golden Keep. Why, have you seen one?
Yeah, one right over there.
Oh, right, make sure they don't see us.
Which direction is the skyship going now, relative to us?
If you picture that you're heading in a straight line north, due north, this is on your west, and it is heading.
That's a strange side for starboard, but sure.
Sorry, it's heading on. You're heading north. It is on your right,
Uh-huh.
and it is going to intersect with you in the future.
Right, so it's like a pizza point.
Yes.
I see. Well, if you don't want them to notice us, it's best we take a break here. We will intervene with them in due course if we keep going.
Right. Has anyone got any problems with fog?
Yeah, you
Nope.
can't see
Great.
it.
Fantastic. You just watch as he turns another spell as he casts his hands, and almost with like a moment's notice, this blacky ink-like substance just is thrown all over you, Torbrun, the deck, the ship, as he's just like spitting out this kind of blacky inkish thing, which after a few seconds immediately just turns into smoke as he casts Marine Layer. Begins to obscure the vessel from sight.
How does the wind interact with the smoke?
You get the sense that it's staying in a local vicinity around Captain Howarth.
All right. Will the smoke not make us a bigger target?
It's less of smoke and more of blending in with the surface of the water.
We're a black dot on the edge of the horizon to them.
Against a blue backdrop, black is pretty much the same.
What if whoever they is, already spotted us?
Well, then, full speed ahead and hope they don't land.
We're not. Your ship isn't being actively searched for by anyone, is it, Captain?
Well, let's just say, don't refer to me as Captain Howarth and don't refer to this as the fly skipper.
I see how. What direction is the natural wind blowing now?
Roll me a d4.
4.
It would now be turning from a westerly direction. So it would be coming from the west
or
to
right?
the east.
Okay, so it's going. I'll take a sharp right, considering that the
You can
ship
lean into
was
the
going.
wind. Sorry, you can harness the wind. Yes.
Yes, but while the airship, so I'll be going roughly towards the airship, but while the airship is going mostly north.
Yep. Okay.
We would.
You're almost handbrake
right.
turning and letting it go past you, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on, starboard.
I would like somebody to roll stealth for the ship with advantage.
Help for the shit.
I got it. Let's go.
There is a +4 to this roll.
I could also.
On a 17
I'll
plus
take that.
4 is 21. Okay.
Oh.
21, yeah.
So Lothar, as the representative of law and order in this campaign, please could you roll for the baddies in this setting? A perception check
Stealth.
with a
Oh,
plus
a perception.
with a +6.
Ugh.
That's 23. So at first,
+6.
well, they have spy glasses. So for the first 10 minutes, you think your maneuver has gone unnoticed as the vessel does not change course. Though with your keen eye and your full focus on this sky vessel, as you're not particularly doing anything other than just naturally allowing wind to push the vessel, you realize that the vessel begins coming about and changes its course in a head-on direction towards you.
How are we oriented?
You are currently now headed or in an orientation of northeast, and the
Mhm.
vessel was previously to your east. It is now heading west, so it would be coming together effectively.
So it's going in the wind. Assuming
It
the
is
wind's still going.
It is going into the wind. Yes, you have the wind.
Is it?
It is against the wind.
But the ship is still like northeast of us or north of us?
Still
Or
north of you. Yep.
it's north of us, and they are going.
They're turning.
Wait, so they're turning. They're turning. Okay. How far away are they roughly?
They have left the horizon now, and they are probably. It's very hard to judge. I need you to make a fucking judge how what anyone got a device on this? What role for him to depth perception? Roll for depth perception. What do we think?
I mean,
It's sort of nature, but
high
you've also got a clear horizon, so there's nothing for you to bounce this off.
Perception.
I think it would be perception, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm not sure he would be able to see much. So maybe perception
Yeah.
at a disadvantage.
Sure, we'll do perception with disadvantage. I like that reasoning.
and add the bonus for from survival.
Sure.
Sure, go on then.
Right, so I add the bonus.
So
from
you have
survival.
a 6 at the minute, or is that a +6 on your perception?
Yeah.
So you rolled a 3, but what's your survival bonus?
Both perception and survival are 6.
Right. Okay. So you rolled a 9 in total. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I would say it takes
Unless
you
you
a
want
while.
the bonus on top of the perception bonus.
So that'd make it 15. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say it takes you longer than you perhaps would have thought to realize this vessel is turning and now aligning until it's almost too late. In terms of the distance, it was about an hour ago you first saw this vessel, and it's now turning into you, and it's now closing the distance. I would say with this observation, you would realize the vessel was actually floating because underneath the two balloons, you now see two large lights emit, and the balloons immediately turn blue as the vessel immediately gains speed and starts heading in your direction. You realize you probably have a couple of minutes before you're going to be underneath it.
Wait, so the blue
The balloons turn
light.
blue. Yeah. Almost like
Balloons
it's turned
turn-
its engines on and it was just hovering before.
Right. Captain, we're gonna need some serious speed. We've been spotted. If you don't want to get caught, better get that gust going.
Right.
Or whatever method you're using.
I will take any support on this. Has anyone got anything that can make this vessel go quicker? Aside from throwing yourselves overboard, of course.
Oh, you could have a rock salt sweet if that's gonna lift your spirits up.
Sure.
I'll give
dead
him.
anyway if they catch us.
I'll give him
Who's
one.
they?
Them. He nods to the airship.
Okay, why? What are?
Would you like me to have this conversation now, or would you like us to try and get out of here?
Well, either of them. If we're getting out of it, get
You
it on.
cast Gust and he stops talking to you. So,
Gust. Yeah.
We have the wind in our back, and we're doing gusts.
Ariel, you would realize at this point he's making it look like it's one continuous one, but it is like
Mm-hmm.
constant casts of his spell, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Within about 5 minutes, as the marine layer drops, the sail catches all of the additional wind being pummeled into it, and with the assistance of the wind, we're going to have a bit of a maneuverability check here. So, who is going to do anything to help the vessel bob and weave to stop this skyship from flying directly overhead? Torbjorn is at the wheel. What's anyone else doing?
Torbjorn, anything I can do to make us go faster?
Keep tension on the sails.
How far away is the skyship?
At this point, probably 300 feet away and several hundred feet above you.
Oh, if it gets too close, can I engage? Captain!
Don't fire at anything. If they catch us, we don't want to be slain on the spot.
Captain, this seems like a good moment to tell us what we're dealing with here.
That would be customs.
Okay, you cleared their port officially. What gives?
Well, I cleared our name off the books. A Golden Keep, yes.
So, wait, your ship doesn't have an actual authorization to leave?
Well, no, and it's not really a problem as you don't have a destination.
Fantastic. Just keep moving. And he's going to try and, Torbjorn, how the hell do I keep tension on the sails?
I will point toward the two ropes on either side that pull on the corners of the sail. Tie them! Keep them tight! If any gets loose, tie them again! Tie
He's
them
gonna
around
get
your
to-
neck if you have to.
Okay. Lothar, make a strength roll for me. These are going to be a combined set of checks, and the DCs will dictate how well you are maneuvering. You get the sense that natural 20 for 23. Fantastic. Okay. So you realize, Torbjorn, as the skyship is gaining and gaining and gaining, it immediately crosses overhead as you begin to fly past underneath it. As you look out above, all of you see this crest of a huge metallic hull. Shines and the metal gleams, polished, not to the point where you can see your own faces in it, as it is a little bit of a matte finish, but it is well shined. You can see in the very center of it, there is a square that is recessed that you can immediately see sort of meshing, and it leads to the interior. This is some kind of dropping compartment, or at least a loading bay from below. Or so you hope. As it goes over you, you begin to see that metal door with the mesh begin to slide apart as it flies over you, and it immediately begins to turn and once again pursue after you all. It's not hard to observe this thing is moving much quicker than you are, though it takes quite a bit of time to turn around.
How shaky is the ship right now?
The ship that you're on,
Mhm.
you're going seemingly as fast as this thing can go at the moment with the captain's tricks. It's It's fairly, as it's a currently smooth ocean, it's not like you're on a speedboat that's bouncing and going up and down constantly, but it's approaching that point.
Then I will roll this.
Constitution saving throw.
Oh God! What? Oh no! Don't let the water. Oh.
You can throw yourself in, make yourself lighter. That'd be quicker.
God, stick to me guts.
Ariel, how do you wish to contribute?
I can either try to cast guidance and run around with people doing skill checks, or I can try to do something with strength. I have a 2 in athletics.
Okay. Any chance you could move your mic just a little bit? You're still a bit quiet.
Yeah, sorry.
Brilliant, thank you.
So I said, like I said, it's either strength, athletics, or guidance on it.
Great. Okay. Which do you want to do?
I think Torbjorn's checks are really important, so I'd rather do guidance on.
Okay.
On
So
him.
you assist with the guidance at the helm. Torbjorn.
Yep.
How high above is the airship?
At first pass, 400 feet.
Okay.
As you look over, it has begun to descend, and is now probably 200 feet above you and gaining on its chase after you. Just before we have your check, you hear a voice booming on the wind. Unidentified seacraft, you will cease your movement with immediate effect. This is the customs of Port Kiln. You will prepare for boarding or be fired upon.
Can I
Customs at
use?
Fort Kiln.
Would I have any contacts? Port Kiln, customs, or
You know Phineas never stops moaning about them, blocking everything that comes in and out.
Customs of Port Kiln. Wait, we're that close to them already? How long have we been at sea?
Probably,
Shouldn't they be the customs of the Golden Keep?
I'd say you're probably like 2 or 3 hours in. So you get the impression they are like really, really far from mainland, where they're claiming to be from.
would I have knowledge of how far these customs would probably be patrolling normally?
You can make a history check with disadvantage, because I don't think that's something you're going to like know off the top of your head.
Well, I did a lot of fishing or diving trips going in and out of Port Kiln.
Yeah, just make a history rolling. 17. It definitely seems like this is a really wide area. You know, having seen the skyships docked around the peak of Port Kiln, there's usually 1 or 2 moored at all times and usually 1 or 2 out at sea patrolling, but you can usually always see all 4 of them just if you're within the vicinity of the island. Though granted, they can fly at immense altitudes, which can put them higher on, further away and still be visible on the horizon.
Do I recognize this as a customs ship? Port?
It's the same design, nothing for you to say otherwise.
Okay.
The captain is currently
Oh.
saying, if they catch us, it's all over, and we're going to go away for a very long time. So whatever you can do to help, do it now.
But why? What kind of problems?
This is the time where you fill us in, Captain.
Yeah.
There's no point getting on the bad books of a port that you want to get off in.
Well, it wouldn't be much of a smuggler if I kept getting caught, would it?
What
Smugglers only need to get caught once,
exactly
right?
are we smuggling?
Well, whatever you've got, and a few things I've got in the barrels of the ship.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm going to look at my party members. Anything you lot of finger wigglers can do?
There's
Oh, you
guidance.
fancy blowing up a ship?
Guidance being
I
cast
do
on
not.
on Torben.
So,
So what does
I
Torben try and
would
do?
not.
what is so the ship is trying to align with us, right?
It has now aligned, but it is now gaining on you. So you can attempt to disalign. You can attempt to do anything. You have the helm of the ship. What do you want to do?
Hold steady, and I'll just give a 90-degree towards port
Just say
south
left
or
or right
left.
if you really want.
So we were going northeast. Now we're going northwest, roughly.
Okay, so just a hard 90-degree turn.
Yeah.
Okay, you hear as they get lower this whirring sound of like a large fan as the vessel overhead begins to align itself, and just as it's descending, you have this hard right turn. I need you to roll. Just make a survival roll for it. Your handling of the vessel. Let's see. On a 20, you have guidance as well.
21. Sure.
21.
21.
works.
So to recap, that was a 23 natural 20 on the sales and a 21 on the survival check. In this game of cat and mouse, you guys bob and weave for the better part of 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes as this vessel is constantly attempting to line up. And each time it gets there, you swerve out the way and change direction. Are you attempting to stay on course, or are you attempting to just get out of sight of this vessel? Get out of the path of this vessel, sorry.
Quickly look at the map. I will make way for the islands west of Port Kill.
Okay. All right. So to you, you would be very familiar with this location that you're headed.
Mm-hmm.
But to put into perspective, the distance to those islands from Port Kiln is the same as the Golden Keep to Port Kiln.
True. Is there any storm or dense clouds on the horizon in any direction?
You look out and you see on the horizon, unfortunately for you in this scenario, it's pretty much clear skies all around, with perhaps a little bit of occasional cloud cover towards the direction of Port Kiln. No storms on the horizon, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'll keep in the direction of the islands and see if they keep following.
Okay. At this point, you hear a large crack, almost like a lightning, as I need you all to make dexterity saving throws, please. The DC is 12.
Oh my god.
Oh.
God, we all failed it.
Wow.
So for the group, that is a 4, 5, a natural 1, and a natural 1.
I am being C6, so I'll take it.
Okay. Captain's gonna roll. Okay. And you hear a huge shock, like a thunder bellow out. And at the same time, Torbern, Voldreth, at the back of the vessel, you are blown off your feet by an explosion in your near vicinity. Ariel and Solothar, you are flown forward onto the deck further than you were being stood originally, as wood is sent splintering and careening in all directions. Unfortunately, as you all failed, apart from the captain, you all take 6 points of bludgeoning damage, as various parts of the top of this vessel are shattered and sent flying in all directions. As you sort of come to and gather your senses, you can just see a smoking, burning hole in the middle of your deck where this mast is. And as you just hear this creak as the mast crumbles and falls off the side of the vessel. And that's where we're going to take a 3-minute break.
Okay.
I'll be back in a moment.
Sure.
I'm going to make coffee. Because silence stops it.
I'm gonna check my book. Says here we win.
I see. Well, should we have stopped for the customs? There's no
Oh, the
reason for
captain
customs.
said we're done for.
It's captain's responsibility. Just following orders. They have no
If you
reason to
didn't
be this
have
far
your
out.
if you didn't have your own scavenging stuff, we could have just claimed we were innocent. I mean, we still can technically.
I can say it's not mine.
Yeah.
Well, technically it isn't. You're just
I
transporting
won't be lying.
it.
I don't even know what I'm transporting.
So, but yeah, hey, you guys might be coming close to our border. Don't you should stop so we can take your stuff in case you do. Yeah, that sounds exactly like Romanian customs. Hey, so we just rifled through your bags and I found my gun. What was my gun doing in your bags? Afraid we're going to have to confiscate everything.
When a friend of mine from the States came over, he brought a book, a bag of books for me, like collectibles, basically, like art books, stuff like that. And they searched his bag because I think they thought it was weird.
Before
Yeah,
There's
you
a
bring.
disclose
bag full of
anything that goes into a recording,
books.
Like I said, customs agents are not the brightest
yeah, just before
people
you
that
guys
ever
go and
walked the earth.
stick anything on the recording for all eternity, just a, just a friendly reminder. Right. Thank you for that.
I do
Apologies.
apologize if you work in customs and you're listening to this. You're part of the exception.
Oh, well. So says I. Oh boy. Just wait for Voldreth to return.
Actually, gonna go grab a drink really quick.
Quick toilet break then.
Coffee acquired.
All right
Hey.
then.
Unmute the
Unmuted.
recording. There we go.
There we go. So, who wants to do the recap where we left off? No, I'm joking.
The mast broke.
As the mast lumbers with a huge ache, as the sail snaps and gives way on the ropes holding it in place. So Lothar, just as well you had been sent flying by this shockwave, because you watch as the ropes would have just clean taken you out if you hadn't already been on the floor.
Thanks.
The sail tumbles overboard, connected to the mast. Torben, you hear a low, squeaky fart let out by the captain, as he has the look of horror, shock, and regret on his face. At this point, you realize as you look up, there is the most peculiar looking contraption strapped to the front of this vessel behind you. At first, it looks like some kind of protruding figurehead of the vessel. And then when you realize the metal gives way into a certain shape, it's actually a cannon. This cannon is once again charging with a blue electrical whirl. You hear a loud voice cackling out. That was just a warning shot, but we missed. We're descending now. Prepare to be boarded.
Fantastic.
I will give a look at Lothar. We want to try and shoot it down?
That thing, with what we have, do you want
So-
to get us obliterated?
As you're
So
saying
what would
this,
what would the balloon things be made of from skyships generally?
so as you see them now, they look like they are heavily reinforced sails, fabric. Though as you watch, you realize they are containing some kind of upwards torrent of air. At this point, you can't quite see because they're not directly overhead, they're behind you, and they are pulling alongside you, descending into the water
Oh, okay.
with a loud disruption and a rocking of the waves that almost tip your boat over completely. The skyship lands on the surface of the ocean next to you. It's at this point you can see, in terms of height, your vessel probably comes up to a third of the height of this skyship. You can see various ropes and ladders are being thrown aboard over the side as they are cresting and catching in some of your rigging. And you can see armored individuals beginning to descend. 12, 2 dozen. And you can see just on board at the top, there are plenty of rifles, weird looking gun contraption things, all pointed down towards all of you on deck.
Bit excessive for a customs ship. To be pointed at what? It's the worst thing this ship could be is a smuggler's vessel.
The first gnome to descend in heavy, plated, thick metal armor with a loud thud hits the deck. Almost slightly gives way as it was a bit of a drop from where the rope ended and where the vessel begins. Turns, takes off the helmet to reveal a feminine-looking featured face, heavy on freckles and dark wavy hair. She shakes her head backwards, clears her face. Who's the captain of this vessel?
I will nod towards Howard.
I'm afraid if you are going to negotiate with anyone, it is going to be me, since I chartered this ship from the Golden Keep,
I see.
so the captain is to be considered in my employ.
What's the name of the captain?
Lady Venarial, what was his name? I didn't rightfully catch it.
Howard.
Captain Howarth. Ah! The one and only. I see. Howarth just says. He slowly takes off his hat, puts it on your head, Torbran. Good luck. As he does a running swan dive off the edge of the back of the vessel.
Do I see that?
Yep.
You blind little oaf!
Though, the weird thing is there's no splash. And as you look over, you see Captain Howarth ungracefully, upside down, suspended in midair. As you can see from the side of the vessel above you, there are a pair of mages holding out their arms in the direction of the captain. You get the sense, Ariel, probably a strong form of telekinesis is currently in play. As he slowly is taken up, not back onto your vessel, but taken up onto the skyship. She says,
I'm assuming you
double irons,
had.
make sure his feet and mouth are shut, please.
I'm assuming you had business with the good captain.
There are many people who have business with the good captain. I would ask, given your honesty, you seem to be a man of integrity, are you aware of the captain's affiliations with the smuggling ring?
I'm afraid I am not. We just chartered a journey across to Port Kiln and then hope to find passage to Eartha.
I
New
see.
We
Eartha.
literally just hopped on the first ship heading out here.
No, wasn't the fact it was the first, it was the cheapest.
I see. Make a persuasion roll with advantage. Probably the most important roll if anyone wants to do anything with this.
Is helping gonna do anything since he has advantage already?
You can help lower the DC.
I will
Because
walk down.
I will walk this out to the party. This is a captain of some kind of a customs vessel who's landed on a known smuggling ship, caught the captain red-handed, and now the people on board the ship are proclaiming to have no knowledge or involvement in where they are.
I will walk down and I will look the gnome. It was a gnome, right?
It's a no, yes.
I will look the gnome in the eyes, like I will point at Volvus, like, does he really look like he belongs on the smuggler ship? Do dwarves look like they belong on a smuggler ship?
I'm still throwing up at this point.
Your camera's frozen as well, by the way, but yes, quite amusing. Ariel, do you contribute?
Fixed.
I could contribute to guidance, but not without showing that magic is being formed. So
Okay.
I can try to help just by adding to it, like just adding a few words from her complete innocence point of view, because she really doesn't have anything to do with any kind of smuggling.
Forgive me. On a 21, this gnome stands to attention. Gives a little bit of a bow. Very well. Oh, forgive me. Too much in that chase for me to remember my duties. Captain Crescent Talkmast. I believe, well, I believe you.
Can you write the name of the captain, please?
Sure thing.
Cats.
Oh.
As she gives a bit of a smile and she looks at Sir Lothar and says, I believe you. Though I'm sure you will understand the formalities in which we will have to go and present your case. I'm afraid a couple of days in just in the a holding cell until we present you before a court and you plead your case and see how the court judge rules. Though I would say, if you do have any knowledge of any of the goods of this vessel, it would be best for you to disclose them now, because a sentence minimum of 2 years would have to be reduced if you came clean. Otherwise, it would get worse for you.
I am just the, bodyguard for Lady Venarial here. We transport no goods, we fare no goods. Merely a traveling minstrel who pays quite well.
There's a voice that shouts down, Captain, a female is not as she seems. She's wearing a disguise. You see a head perking over the brow, which is wearing some kind of weird set of goggles with a huge, magnified eye visible on the left.
That's an awkward situation. Um,
Lady
it is
Venarial
as
wears many guises when she is traveling. And they're quite useful in performances.
Hmm.
Is this a guise, or are you something more? The gnome asks you with a calm, and yet you get the impression with your insight she is just not wanting to deal with the paperwork, and she's almost imploring you
I
to come clean.
I am something more, but I do not see why I have to come clean to everyone right now. I mean, it's my own business what I am.
I see. Well, part of the light's vengeance is sorry, she points to the ship. The light's vengeance. We keep a clean eye on everything that moves in and out of Port Kiln. Goods, peoples, creatures. She nods in your direction. Of good intent, or of lesser, as she looks up, and you can see Captain Howarth now completing his ascent and moving out of sight on board the ship. Well, just if you all wouldn't mind just waiting here a moment, please, whilst my subordinates do a full sweep. We're looking for something in particular, and if it's not here, then we're good to move on. If
And
it
if it
is,
is?
I'm afraid you're all going to have a very long time in some cells.
What
I don't
exactly?
understand why the captain's other particular goods should be of any particular consequence to us. We charted a ship, we didn't chart what was in its bows.
You see, we have reason to believe that there's an incredibly powerful magical artifact on this vessel at the moment, which will cause great destruction to those who carry it and potentially could let it loose upon this world.
And if we had such an artifact with us, do you honestly believe we would be on this floating piece of garbage?
No, but I also have wanted Captain Howarth in irons for the best part of 3 years, and I recognized the
He is
ship when I
yours
saw it.
He is yours to do with as you wish, but last I checked, chartering a ship
Captain!
for
A voice
purposes of
calls from
travel.
below deck. She says, excuse me. She begins the descent of the steps down into the hold. A few moments later, they return carrying one of the crates that you unloaded this morning out of the warehouse, or the storage at the docks. They open it and they say, is this thing trapped? The captain turns to you as a group.
I wouldn't know.
I will walk forward. I'm not sure. However, I was asked to bring that along, although I was asked to load that on the ship, but I have no idea what's inside or if it's
I
scrap.
see. So you've gone from your meager travelers who hired the cheapest ship out of port to now you're bringing cargo that's unlisted as well into Port Kiln.
I'm just trying to get home to Bertha. Leave me out of this smuggling malarkey.
My apologies. It was parked at the dock in the Golden City. I was assumed it was all cleared because it was listed at the dock. The captain said it was good. I'm as oblivious as everyone else. All I know is that I was asked to put that on the ship.
Nothing of what my companions told me when we actually banded together. I've known this tracker for a few years, but we came in contact last night. Led me to believe that there was anything illegal going on. And I'm not sure how much help this information is, but I am Iron Dominion stock, and we do not believe dishonesty or smuggling forwards anyone's cause anywhere. If I'd known, I would have pressured them to declare it.
We dwarfs may be greedy, and I say that with sort of like, I don't like the word greedy folk, but don't call us dishonest.
I trust a dwarf as far as he can dig.
That's dwarves can dig quite a bit, can't they?
Indeed. That's why when you find one out of the mines, you got to be wary.
I've known this gentleman for a while. He's a cook and a tracker.
A cook,
Oh,
you
I may
say?
not be that much of a digger from
Mhm.
all times, but are you perhaps familiar with the Mountaineers?
Mountaineers from Eartha?
Yes.
What unit?
Oh my god, I might have that somewhere in my backstory.
It's either Legion or unit. I can't remember what we called it off the top of my head.
Let's go with Legion for now, I guess.
Mhm.
The Legion unit.
Whilst you're having this conversation, you can see the rest of your cargo is being unceremoniously brought up from the hold and dumped on various parts of the ship. And it is a moment later you can see an individual who is casting telekinesis, and this large crate that you and Sir Lothar helped move in earlier is being floated up onto the decking. As it lands, a loud clang, 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 clang of the metallic noises inside. Crescent seems to be a bit perplexed. There seems to be some truth from your, well, you get the impression she believes some of what you're saying. But she seems very much conflicted.
Expedition class regiment was it, by the way?
Okay. Expedition class regiment, you say this to her. And she says, if I say a name to you now, and you give me your honest answer, perhaps we can make all this go away.
Very well.
I'm going to say a first name, and if you can provide the surname, We will take you to Port Kiln and release you, free of any charges, and Howarth will get the rope.
Hit me.
Phineas.
Steel sprocket.
That doddery old bloody fool. Alright, everyone. Bad intel. Wrap it up. Let's get out of here. There is a look of confusion amongst the ranks. I said, everyone, wrap it up. Let's get out of here. Without a second thought, everyone is once again assailing and ascending the ropes, climbing back up, leaving the vessel. All the cargo that they just brought up onto the deck being left untouched. One who was attempting to begin opening it has just stopped.
Is Crescent still here, or is she also leaving?
Crescent seems to be getting ready to leave, but it's very much like first person on, last person off.
Right.
So you're just going to leave us without a captain on a ship without a mast in the middle of sea?
You see, what happened today was a very fortunate scenario for Captain Howarth, because he was found adrift at sea on a small raft, to which we saved him from his unfortunate scenario, so he can now pay his dues in a cell.
What exactly is Phineas up to? If you don't mind me inquiring. If you do, then by all means, drop it.
Phineas is someone that you should know is of great importance.
Yes, I have worked with him for many years in the past. Not too long ago, actually.
Well, you would know, then he's a member of the cogwheel, and we don't mess with the cogwheel.
I always thought Phineas wasn't so keen on the customs.
He has, and you can see this is clearly distressing her to admit, a free pass on anything bearing his name. Though one day I will find enough to take him down.
I see.
But in order to keep my job, I must do as my superiors instruct for the time being.
In that case, I appreciate you checking out our lovely little floating tub, I would like to call it now. Appreciate you didn't find any strange. And I'll hope you have a good trip with Howard.
That it? You think we're just going to leave you here?
Well, it sure seemed that way, unless you, but by all means.
No, of course not. We'll tow you into some distance, and then we'll have to ask that you drift ashore, so that we have no affiliation.
It's mighty considerate of you.
Appreciate that.
Well, if Quirk wasn't such a good shot, then, as I said, warning shots that are not so warning aren't very much use when things like this transpire.
Don't blame someone for having a great shot.
Exactly what I am doing. Now,
could I
Carry on.
maybe invite you over for some food later when we're in Port Kiln as a thank you?
Are you flirting with me?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm well past my prime, lady.
He isn't, but he's doing it for the benefit of his food, so consider that the food's flirting.
Well, I finished my rotation this Thursday. 7 o'clock at the docks. I'll see you there.
What day was it? Is it now?
like Monday.
I will look over the Lothar. Are we planning to still be in Port Kill by Thursday?
At this point, I have no clue.
Don't let me down.
Thursday it is.
I don't like
At
being
the
stood
dock.
up.
Thursday at the docks. What time?
I finish at 7.
PM. Evening.
I'll let you find out.
Very well.
Might as well look for work while we're there.
Work.
Dig got me digging, messed. Nope.
You go back to throwing up over the edge of the ship.
Oh, come on, old timer. Get your feet steady.
It's at this point you hear the whirring begin again. And at this point, you can see as from the rear of the ship, you can see one of the balloons. There's a balloon at the front and a balloon at the back. And you can see the whirring seems to be some kind of large blue-like flame, but also like in a fan shape that begins to whirl and create a huge sense of lift as the ship begins to ascend out of the water, but not so that it's entirely clean, and begins to drive along, towing your vessel behind. With the vessel clean out of the water, the speed at which you begin to accelerate is pretty rapid. Though with no mast, you are sort of drifting off in various degrees and angles, and it's a bit of a rough, rocky ride for the next couple of hours. As night begins to fall, you can see off in the distance, slightly to the east, the recognizable peak on the island of Port Kiln come into view. And as night is completed its fall, the moon has risen. Early into the night, you arrive at Port Kiln after having been dropped off under the cover of darkness as you naturally run aground outside of the harbour. And I think for tonight, that's where we'll end our session.
But it's only 11.